Celebrating 48 years on the air, award-winning Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, the never-ending tariff seesaw. This time the president changes direction, but for how long? In southern gardening, once again, native plants, but these love their sun. In the markets, the new WASDE report didn't say a whole lot, but what it did say was pretty interesting. And in our feature, backed by popular demand, the 2025 Dixie National. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Great to have you with us again here on Farm Week. Tariffs remain on the radar, likely will for a while. As you've noticed, the rates are bouncing around as the president looks to remain ahead of the negotiation curve. The water's a bit muddy on what to expect, especially with China. The exact repercussions for both countries, well, time will tell. Peter Tubbs looks back at the last few days of tariff news.
President Trump reversed course on much of his massive tariff plan after a week of chaos in global commodities, bond, and equity markets. The planned tariffs are still in play and could return July 9th. Stock indices lost over 10% in the 3 trading days immediately after Trump's April 2 announcement, and yields in the bond market climbed in action described by analysts as a vote of no confidence in the Trump tariff plan. While the tariffs on individual countries were mostly lifted, tariffs on goods imported from China into the United States were pushed up to 125%. Friday, China matched its tariffs on imported goods from the United States at 125%. A tariff plan on many U.S. trading partners remains in place. In a hearing with the Senate Finance Committee, Trade Representative Jamieson Greer reiterated the administration's goal of gaining more access to the Chinese market.
What can we do to hold China's commitment to U.S. beef and other ag imports, which are so critical right now for U.S. producers?
China, of course, needs to take down their barriers. It's been a persistent challenge with them, and they like to use economic coercion, and they have their own method of doing things. But my hope would be is that they turn back on this course of action, and I think a lot of this is going to be up to the Chinese on how forward-leaning they want to be on having fair trade with us.
China purchased 2.4 million metric tons of soybeans from Brazil this week, in a move a purchasing analyst described as surprisingly rapid.
So, keeping up with the tariffs is easier said than done. They vary by country, and the president is using the threat of tariffs as a tool to convince countries and companies to do the bulk of their business in the U.S. That transition is still in transition. The media tend to view tariffs in the short run and for the dramatic effect they can have on the marketplace, but may not necessarily be having yet. For example, some stock prices may be down now, but such losses aren't realized until those stocks are actually sold. Truth is, the Dow 5-year average is up more than 16,000 points, and that's the view the White House is taking as the president works to reset global trade.
In another of our Inside Extension series, we take a look at DREC in Stoneville, Mississippi, one of the largest research complexes in the country, contributing much to research and the economy. I spoke with economist Dr. Steve Martin about it as he co-authored a report that spelled out exactly what those contributions are.
So overall, bottom line, about $747 million contribution to the state and this Delta region. Some things in that vary year to year, but really that is the annual contribution. And that's measured on the impact of the entities, 8 entities here at the Stoneville Research Complex, the visitors that come into them, and then any new construction. So that's what I say, to vary a little from year to year, but most of that, those entities typically grow over time. So close to that annually, and so we did it for fiscal year 2023. Did the work in late fall of 24, and so that was a 2023 contribution. It also supported here at the Stoneville facility about 990 jobs. The indirect effects of that and the fact that there has to be other people to support those employees, you know, school teachers and grocery stores and healthcare. And so total effect of that was about 2,500 jobs that are supported by that. So there's 8 entities here. There's what we call the Delta Research and Extension Center, which is made up of Extension and MAFIS faculty. There is the Extension region, the Northwest region as it was called for a long time, Northwest District, Delta region now is here. USDA ARS Ag Research Services here. The Yazoo Water Management District, Delta Health Alliance, USDA Hardwood Forestry Lab, Wildlife Mississippi, and Delta Council, and which encompasses also Delta Wildlife and Delta Farm. The thing about all of those being here, we've talked about it for years, is there's a lot of synergy. Having those research and extension activities all in one place, it leads to a lot of collaboration. And one thing the study really didn't capture, but is of economic value, is of social value, is the fact that with this complex here, a lot of private industry is chosen to locate in this area to support the row crop industry, as well as the aquaculture industry. And so that also creates an additional synergy between this research and extension complex, and our growers, as well as private industry.
In Southern Gardening, more about plants native to Mississippi and the South. This week, some sun-loving varieties. Here's Eddie Smith with more.
There are some really nice native plants that love sunny landscapes. Let's take a look at a few varieties I've covered in the past. Yarrow has many small flowers that are combined into a flat-topped flower structure that is very inviting to many butterflies, bees, moths, and other pollinators. The native variety produces white, frilly, showy flowers that grow on multi-branching stems. Other varieties produce pink, yellow, red, or orange flowers. The leaves are divided into smaller leaflets, giving them a delicate fern-like lacy appearance. One of my favorite native perennial pollinator plants is Stokes aster. Stokes aster is low-growing with a basal cluster of dark green, lance-shaped leaves. The numerous solitary flower heads are 2 to 4 inches across, with deeply divided purple rays and very prominent purple florets from the disc. Turk's cap boasts luxurious deep green leaves, 4 to 6 inches in diameter, that look like baseball mitts and provide a lush backdrop for its striking flowers. Its flowers, with their unusual shape and vivid hue, add a touch of exotic allure. The blooms are a vibrant scarlet red, their unique form resembling a Turkish turban, which gives the plant its common name. The petals remain partially closed, creating a distinctive spiraled appearance that is both eye-catching and attractive to pollinators such as hummingbirds and butterflies. Check our website at extension.msstate.edu for more information about native plants. I'm Eddie Smith, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a short break right here, but stick around. Coming up, once again, this year's Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions. It's a big story, and this year the numbers were bigger than ever, more than $500,000 raised in the sale. You'll also meet a hard-working young lady bound for greatness. And to top it all off, say goodbye to auctioneer Jackie Corson, retiring after 30 years of helping youth raise millions of dollars. The 2025 Dixie National, coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believe in my own work and in the opportunity I have to make my life useful to humanity. I believe that education is a lifelong process, and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families that I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith. I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. I believe that these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance towards the views of others. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report. Prices rebounding as fast as they fell.
Indeed, and that may become the new normal, but we're going to look into some other factors as well. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then this month's WASDE report. What did it have to say? And finally, another perspective on the current market situation, especially in row crops. What are the analysts talking about? So, markets closed the week on the upswing, row crops on the upswing, while livestock split. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, soybeans, up nearly 67 cents, almost a 7% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, sugar, down about a penny, nearly a 5.5% decrease from the previous week. So, this month's WASDE report dropped and didn't really tell us too much, but what it did have to say was pretty interesting, especially on the global front. Supplies in flux, as it were, but production looking like we're in for a big push. Bella Bingham has the details.
U.S. wheat supplies are projected to be up by 10 million bushels due to higher imports. Consumption is forecast lower, mostly on seed use, while food and residual use are unchanged. Exports expected lower by 15 million bushels, price unchanged at $5.50 per bushel. Global wheat also lowered a bit, a little less than 1 million tons, and consumption down too, mostly due to less use by India and China. Trade expected lower as well, mostly on lesser exports from Russia, Australia, and the EU. Ending stocks up about 0.5 million tons. U.S. corn feed and residual use cut by 25 million bushels due to disappearance, which is normally crop failure, abandonment, disease, or other similar issues. Exports, however, looking up by about 100 million bushels. Ending stocks down 75 million bushels, price $4.35 per bushel. Global corn production up mostly in the EU, Tanzania, and Honduras. Both exports and imports are raised, while ending stocks down slightly by a little over 1 million tons. U.S. rice supplies slightly down, while domestic and residual use up. Exports reduced mostly on long grain rice, while medium and short grain faring better. Due to these factors, ending stocks down 2.5 million tons. Price unchanged from last month. Global rice supplies, trade, consumption, and ending stocks all up, in large part due to India producing a record crop, now making them the world's leading rice grower for the first time over China. U.S. soybean crush up due to meal use and exports. Oil use for biofuel lowered for now, but expected to increase in the latter half of the year due to tariffs, causing less imports of other biofuel feedstocks. Price unchanged at $9.95 per bushel. Global soybean stocks up due to high crop output in Brazil last year, while production this year slightly down due to lesser output from Bolivia, Brazil's neighbor. Due to already high stocks, meal consumption is up. Exports also up along with ending stocks. U.S. pork production lowered on lessening slaughter and weights, while beef production slightly up on heavier dressed weights and slaughter. Broiler production also up, while turkey and egg production down due to hatchery data and less layers respectively. Milk production looking up due to increasing cow inventories and milk output. Both imports and exports down, prices for butter, cheese, non-fat dry milk, and whey lowered due to increasing supplies, projected at $21.10 per hundredweight. U.S. cotton shows little changes from last month, save for a 100,000 bale reduction in exports and an increase in ending stocks. Price remains unchanged at 63 cents per pound. Global cotton production down by 520,000 bales. Imports also down along with exports. Stocks overall are up, with the largest increases in China, Australia, Brazil, Egypt, and the U.S.
So we've seen prices on a roller coaster recently. Tariffs a big reason for that, but there's also long-term issues that affect prices, especially futures. Market analyst Chris Robinson gives us a little inside baseball from the floor.
We always know that if you're a farmer or producer, you're always basically a net long speculator. So you're like the person in the back in the floor that would get up there in the morning, buy a 20 lot in beans, and then go do something and come back at the end of the day and did he make or lose money? You're always long. So you always have to defend the bottom. And risk managers, that's rule number one, defend the revenue. So luckily, if people had defensive positions on, those worked, meaning that they gained value as the price went down. The key was the whipsaw we saw back. You mentioned soybeans. And soybeans was probably the biggest concern because China, big secret, doesn't really take a lot of corn or a lot of wheat from us. It's all beans. They take 25% of our crop. And they were already all done with their old crop sales. And this is usually the time of year they sit on their hands for new crop because everything's coming up from South America anyhow. So the real risk is November 25. And that broke severely. We're at 65 cents lower in 3 days. But then as soon as the first wave of tariff concerns was over, we came right back up. So that's something we haven't seen in a long, long time, a $1.25 swing like that. And I don't care who you are, if you're out of position or if you're not hedged, it makes it very, very, very difficult. It also made it very, very difficult. We had some hedge options on that we paid 10 cents for that were worth 40 cents. And they were like, well, I don't want to sell them because what if we drop another $1? So that was a real busy week of managing those positions. Don't make an emotional sale. Don't get upset. Don't sell unless you absolutely have to. If your banker's like, hey, you need cash flow, then you have to sell. But if you can avoid selling for emotional reasons, always do that.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. And now the 2025 Dixie National, backed by popular demand. We say goodbye to auctioneer Jackie Corson. He's now retired. And we meet a young lady really going places. Here's a look back. This was the 56th year of the Dixie National Sale of Junior Champions, a highlight event that culminates a week of intense livestock activity for the 1,269 youth in 4-H and FFA who showed nearly 2,000 animals. And after 60 years total, it's the largest livestock show in rodeo east of the Mississippi River. At a press conference before today's coveted sale, Mississippi's Ag Commissioner Andy Gibson is proud of all those youth and describes their work as the best workforce development program in the state.
Mississippi. We don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to workforce development. If you want to find the young people who are hard workers and committed to Mississippi and committed to developing their life and their career here in our state and their education, you walk inside here and see these young people, you get to meet some of them today.
Angus Catshot is the new director of Mississippi State University Extension, which does a huge amount of legwork for the event. He's proud of the kids, too.
This is a tremendous opportunity for all of our 4-H'ers and FFA youth across the state to be able to come together and promote our livestock shows. But it's more than that. One of the things that it does, just the experience of owning an animal where you're responsible for their care, their health, their growth. It just instills positive attitudes in our youth.
And with those words and the presenting of scholarships to young people that now total more than $1.2 million since 1993, we're off and running. Let's go. 17-year-old Leighton Varner, a senior from Rankin County 4-H, has been waiting for this day. it's her last time showing livestock. After 9 years, she'll be moving on soon, headed to Mississippi State to major in agribusiness. She's worked hard to get here again, though, getting up early every day, feeding her animals and working with them, then heading off to high school. Later each day, she handles her animals again in between doing homework and other chores. It's a long day, and she, like most of these youth, has to drive herself pretty hard.
There's so much I've learned. I mean, just from work ethic to how to win and lose. I mean, there's just so many things. And I mean, obviously you learn so much responsibility doing it because you're having to have these animals that rely on you. And if you don't show up, if you don't show up to feed them, if you don't show up to work them, then I mean, it's not going to go well because they're just completely reliant on you. And I think that's so interesting because, you know, in the world today, you need to learn that responsibility and learn how to be dependent and how to be reliable and everything. It's kind of made me work hard in everything I do in a way, because with this I've realized that whenever I do work hard, it always pays off in the end. And I mean, I know there's some shows it doesn't, but in some form, way or another, it's gonna pay off. Whether that's me making it to the sale or not, it always does. And so in life, it's, you know, made me realize that everything pays off if I work hard enough.
Layton still has plenty of hard work ahead of her, needless to say, with college. She says she also hopes to go to law school someday and then perhaps even cultivate a career in politics. In the meantime, though, she wants to be around her family as much as possible. We wish her well. Obviously, you can't have an auction without an auctioneer. And Jackie Corson is one of the best in the business.
Don't give up now. Come on, one more time.
But after 30 years, Jackie's hanging up his gavel. This is his last Dixie National auction. He says his wife's honey-do list is long and needs his attention.
I've always got a long honey-do list, and I've got a lot of people that's controlling my calendar. So we just love what we do. We have a great partnership, and you know she's in the art business, and we've got 3 wonderful kids, 7 wonderful grandkids, and we are blessed to be able to see them every week almost and to interact with them. And so that's my reason for living and doing right now is my family.
In the meantime, after helping to generate about $8.5 million in livestock sales over the years, he has mixed feelings about leaving.
I'm sad and I'm glad. I'm sad to leave it because it's such a good program, so many good people that's behind the program, and that makes me sad, but I'm glad because we've got plenty of folks can carry the program on, and the next guy will do better than me. That's my wish.
Jackie gets a lot of respect for everything he's done for the Dixie National, but says there's a bigger picture. For him, it's all about the youth. I told him most people would say he's done a great job over those 30 years, but he says,
well, it's not about me, but I appreciate the compliments, I always do. But it's about the kids. My job's easy. Everybody's done the work before I ever get there. And so it's just fun for me because I know I'm doing something for a good cause. It makes it a lot of fun. I make new friends every year. And the beauty of it is that I make friends with the grandkids of my friends when I was a youth, a teenager in the livestock program. Now they are the granddaddies and the grandmamas of the kids that are still in the program. And you know, what better blessing could you have than to see it generation after generation staying in the same program. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a great blessing for me.
Is he nostalgic about leaving? You bet.
I do. I wax nostalgic a lot because I know I've been around long enough to see the changes that's made. The culture has changed, but yet there's still some very steady, right principles in this program, such as work and integrity and commitment and responsibility. So those things will always last in a program like this. And so I think that's why it's good now. It's been good. It'll be good in the future.
And what's Jackie's message to the youth, now and in the future?
My message is to respect the past, listen to those leaders, your parents, and the people that's already been in those circumstances and walked in those footsteps, and listen to them and learn from them, and you'll be all right. Even when you get out in the world on your own, then more than likely you'll want to be the same way.
And finally, as he rides off into the sunset, is there anything Jackie wants people to know?
Just that I love them, I appreciate them. It's a good program. Always do the right thing and do the good thing. And we'll see you down the road. All done. Thank you very much. Love you all. Voting right there, $10,000. We'll miss Jackie. Great guy. Good luck to him and to Leighton Verner. Well, next week, a success story in the Mississippi Delta, a Farm Week Encore.
In a part of the Delta long considered a food desert, a town that played a prominent role in civil rights history, a grocery store comes to Marks, Mississippi. It was a long-awaited follow-up to our news coverage of a grand opening that puts smiles on the faces of everyone involved.
And it showcases yet again just how extension matters. All that and a lot more next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.